Now, when it comes to the concept of video games, we can acknowledge that many stuff can be memorized, and such as we can always remember the creepy stuff that goes around with it as well. Here are the 5 most creepiest things in video games. Mr. M is a guy you don't wish to be around with in any type of video game, including the Resident Evil series. Throughout the entire repertoire of the game, what he represents, he's able to stalk you and including slow you down by any puzzle, and if you're able to kill him, he's coming back pretty quick than you might think. And keep in mind, his virtual style is also creepy with the tense atmosphere and dark shadows you could witness during Resident Evil. He blends in so well with the dark, not even knowing if you're going to turn that corner, and next you know, he's right there to take you out. It's just a simple person who has terrified gamers throughout any generation that we had come across. Now, throughout the destroyed Mojave Wasteland, you can come across any types of ghouls, either feral ghouls or even normal ghouls, but no matter what the concept is, these creatures are rather creepy to look at, but just like you and me, they are humans but just seen in a different light. But as it turns out, there are certain type of ghouls that are far way too gone to either help. Meet Dr. Sebastian from Fallout 2. Now, throughout most people could say he thought the new step for humanity would be reborn as ghouls. This could be rather simple, how ghouls don't really have to eat or either sleep, and typically they don't hardly have to feel anything. Well, that was the next step for him, but during the process it did cause a amount of open pieces that he had to use, such as his eye, mouth, including his hand. So this goes to the feature of making him more decomposed than any other ghoul you can see throughout the whole series, and the tone and dark voice he has gives it more of a scary vibe. Now, Banjo-Kazooie is also one of few games that you will ever consider scary. Typically, yes, it could rather have its moments, and this is actually a great exception, especially if you have a phobia of the water. This is Cranker, and don't let his virtual style or feel to him ever give you the chance that you consider him a robot. In fact, he's actually a real breathing creature, and a rather tragic one at that. Thanks to the fall of the sewer water, it's able to contaminate his entire body, to his teeth tragically turning to the foul color of yellow and also being rotted from the inside, and the amount of parasites throughout the empathy of his body, and a huge gouge on the side of his body. But you start to think, was there a huge monster big enough to take him on? I probably don't have to tell you that Zelda is one of the most famous games of all time, and throughout the nation and concepts we see throughout the franchise, there were some games that were meant to be non-scary. It came out of the main approach of being scary thanks to the graphical nature and the facial features that were rushed onto set. But the main big issue with Majora's Mask is the main detail of thinking that this type of feature was meant to be scary. To my own personal knowledge, that I could tell that the red eyes was the main thing that creeped me out the most. It kinda looks like staring into the eyes of the demon itself possessing the mask, and also the use of the tentacles waving around in your face, not knowing what would happen if it would touch you in real life. On its own, Majora's Mask is nothing but nightmare fuel. Urban Descent of Earthbound is a rather ridiculous game by most players, as you be able to fight a taxi and a speed limit sign, and all the other pathways you have to face throughout many ridiculous mobs. The only one you would ever find creepy is the Wrath of Gygas. Now, thinking to most players, including myself, I rather thought he was a gigantic robot or just an alien at its size. However, it was a totally different concept, as it can tend to show a human face, nothing with the red types of grow in the background, and only to know what the sounds that he makes while the into pain throughout the walls. It actually makes it a quite unsettling boss fight, and including if you get him to half health, it has the shape of the members of a fetus, only with the face of Gygas. The theory goes to most players that Gygas was so strong, Nest and his friends went back in time to only fight him in the place where he was the weakest, and it could have been more than just him as an infant. So what this basically means is that if Gygas is so strong as an infant as this, what could he done if he was the adult? Five Nights at Freddy, I at least had to put any animatronic throughout my series, and obviously I'm gonna pick Golden Freddy. Like most people and myself can find him rather creepy how he is the one who sticks out, how there is no animatronic device inside of his human body. But it seems more of development of what he represents inside of the darkness, at least with other animatronics he stick out with the bright numerous colors such as Foxy and Freddy and Chica and so on that can also show throughout the lighting. However, Golden Freddy does not have animatronic, he doesn't have light inside of him, it's nothing but pure darkness inside of his soul, as in like it's a shell of a human being that doesn't possess the animatronic itself, more like a demon and such. And quite obviously, if he's not like the other animatronics, what does he do when he gets to you? As simple of a game hunting down goes with Luigi does sound quite fun, but the initial trailer gave the approach of being a horror game that creeped a few kids out when it first released, and though a couple glitches in the game did rather come out to the public of giving it a sadder and tragic approach to a theory that most people believe. Now first, head upstairs, next you know, go to the attic. Now once you're there, you're able to see a shadow from the lightning, and it comes off to the approach of Luigi standing on his legs, almost appearing that he hung himself. The theory goes of not being so famous as his brother Mario, he hung himself after not getting any consideration of what people stood by him, so he took his own life. It's a rather scary concept, especially for a game for children, but you start to think, could this be rather true throughout the Mario series? Is Luigi really there, or that's just him in heaven thinking that he could be the star one day in his own shadow? No one knows. And that's going to be the end of the video. I know it was pretty short, but guys, this took me a couple of days no matter how you see it. Editing is not too easy as you think it is. And guys, huge shout out to these people right here. If you like a shout out yourself, all you have to do is leave a comment down below. It has to be more than 2 words. Leave a like onto this video and also subscribe. Guys, go into perfect detail how this video felt to you, including how do you thought to it in general. And that's a pretty easy way to get a shout out, ain't gonna lie. I'm sure Noom, and I'll talk to you guys all later.